What is the capital of India? सबको पता है, Delhi. What is the financial capital of India? Mumbai or Bombay as it was called earlier. But are you aware that once upon a time, Calcutta was both the capital of India and also the financial capital of India? Comes as a surprise. We all in the younger generation might think, was it actually ever a case that Calcutta was so popular that it was the capital and financial capital of India? Yes, it was. And in this video, I'll try to explain you as to how did Calcutta lose its place to Mumbai as the financial capital of India. Hi there, my name is Hitesh and I welcome you all to YouTube channel of Trade Brains. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please click on the subscribe button. Now coming back to our topic of discussion, that how did Calcutta became a power of supreme, then lost all of its power to Mumbai, and Mumbai became the financial hub of India. Now if you were to refer back to all the old textbooks or maybe all the books which have been written by writers of that time, Calcutta was not only the capital of India but also the commercial capital of the world. There was so much of trade happening, there was so much of money flow happened, plus Calcutta was also a port, so it provided a lot of facilities there, and Calcutta was one of the most sought after financial hub of the world. And if you were to refer back to the essay of commercial capitals of the world, it was written by Charles Kindleberg in 1974. He has talked about Calcutta as being one of the most important cities for financial transaction happening throughout the world or any sort of trade. Now there are majorly three reasons why Calcutta was so popular and it was in high demand. The first reason was trade volumes. The amount of transactions which happened via Calcutta were much more as compared to any other cities in India, say be it Bombay or Madras or even Delhi. So Calcutta had a lot of flow of transactions which happened through it. The second reasoning being the size of the bank. The size of the Bank of Bengal was comparatively much bigger than the size of Bombay, and this was for the simple reason that Calcutta catered to a much higher population as compared to Bombay, which means there were more accounts being opened, more banking transaction happened, which led to the size of bank being also bigger. Now during the time of British, there were three presidencies. What does the presidencies means? Those cities with which they control all the transactions happening around it, or the cities which were the hub through which all the transactions took place. The first was Calcutta, second was Mumbai, or it was formerly called as Bombay, and the third was Madras, which is right now called as Chennai. Now these were the three presidencies during the British time. The Bengal presidency had an area of 1,90,000 square miles. Bombay had 1,88,000 square miles and Madras had about 1,43,000 square miles. So in terms of areas, they were very close to each other, but the population was a major factor. Bengal had a population of about 78 million people, Bombay had about 25.5 million people, and Madras had about 38.6 million people. So the size of population played a major role, and which is where the Bank of Bengal was at the time comparatively bigger, even if you were to combine the Bank of Bombay and even the Chennai or Madras Bank. That is how big the size of transaction and or the financial money flow which happened from Calcutta and also a major part of Bengal. But later in the year 1913 or during that era of 1913 is when Bombay started to close gap upon Bengal, and World War II also happened that time. So World War II played a major role which led to Calcutta actually losing a lot of its supremacy over other constituencies or other presidencies of British Empire. I'll explain about those in the later part of our discussion. But World War II is one factor which we should remember. Apart from the banking sector, even the new companies which were floated during that time also had a lot of dominance from Calcutta. Now just to put few numbers into perspective, nearly 45 to 50% of the companies that were floated that time came from Calcutta, and Bombay's share was only 13 to 15%. And by 1918, Calcutta and Bombay controlled nearly 43% and 40% of the rupee companies that were floated, but 73% of the sterling companies, that is the pound sterling companies, came from Calcutta, and in Bombay there were only 19% of the sterling companies. So even when it comes to banking sector, the number of trade which took place, and even the new companies which wanted to start their business, Calcutta was having no competition and the dominance was very overwhelming. So what exactly happened? What were the major factors which led to the downfall of Calcutta in terms of financial sector and Bombay taking over and becoming what it is today. We'll try to understand what are the major factors which led to this. Now, there were majorly three reasons. The first one was clearinghouse data. Now, what was a clearinghouse? Clearinghouse was that institution or is that institution which clear transactions between the banks. Now, if you were to carefully analyze the data, in 1913, the total transaction which was settled by clearinghouse was 65,035 lakh rupees. Kolkata settled nearly 51% of the transaction, Bombay settled about 33.7%, Madras settled about 3.6%, and Delhi was barely negligible. But the changes started happening after that. By 1947, the share of Kolkata and Bombay in terms of settling of transaction was almost equal. By 1950, Bombay rose higher and it went above Kolkata by almost 6%. And by 1965, Kolkata, whose share was 51% by 1913, had come down to mere 28%. So slowly but surely, Calcutta started losing its ground and Bombay started to gain dominance in the market. The second important factor was the World War II. During the World War II, Japanese bombed the Kolkata port and it was nearly shut down. So what happened? All the trade which happened on the port, all the transaction which happened on the port naturally went away from there. And what was the next favorable destination? It was Bombay. So all the transaction which couldn't happen there or which had to be closed down because of Japanese bombing on the port during World War II now moved to Bombay and it became a power of dominance. All the transactions were routed there and naturally Bombay port was much more suited than the Kolkata port because Bombay port directly connected to the Arabian Sea, but the Calcutta port connected via sea route of 80 miles, which made it difficult for the cargo ships to maneuver through there. So they took extra time for the trade to take place or the cargo to reach its destination. And as Portuguese said, the Bombay port was a good port and easier port to transact through. And the third and the important point was the development of the railway connectivity of Bombay, which not just connected to Deccan but also to Punjab. Although Punjab was closer to the port of Karachi, but Bombay was preferred because of its port connectivity as well as its railway connectivity. These were the three reasons why all the financial transactions, all the major financial transactions moved away from Kolkata and to Bombay, and naturally with time Bombay became the financial capital of India. So I hope this small video gave you a brief gist about why Calcutta, which was a powerhouse not in India but a global powerhouse for financial transaction or any sort of commercial transaction, lost its power and Bombay became what it is today, and it is one of the top financial cities in India and also in the world. Again, thank you for your patient hearing. I hope you had a good time and learned something out of it. And if you have any more comments or anything which I missed out, put in the comment section. I'll be more than glad to talk more about it. And I'll see you in the next videos where we talk about something more interesting and something more fun. Thank you so much.